All right, guys. I want to welcome everybody to another hot seat webinar. This one is going to be a really, really special webinar. Something I don't think we've ever done this on a hot seat, this kind of lesson, where we're going to actually be building out a site live, and I have a special guest on. Now, my normal guests, Gregory and Dan, they're out. They're not in, they're out of town, so they're not able to make it. But I was able to get a special guest on, Mark Ruskowski. Mark, how do you pronounce your last name?
You got it, Joe. Mark Ruskowski.
Ruskowski. Okay, good. All right.
Just kind of mumble through the back part.
That's So everyone, to welcome Mark. He's on today, and if you guys don't know Mark, he's a web designer. He's actually designed both of Cotton's websites. He's done a lot. He's done work for me and a lot of other OMGers, and he really, really knows his stuff. So before we get into exactly what Mark's going to be showing us and what we're going to be doing, is I want to make sure, guys, we're going to be in the OMG Way Facebook group. So that's where we're going to be posting stuff and different things like that. Now, before we get on with the lesson, I want to ask you guys a question. How many people here have tried to use the director's cut theme or skin? Just give me a 1 right here in the Facebook, or you can say I have. Or if you don't know what it is, you could say I have no idea of what it is. So, how many? 1, have not, tried to move past it, no, have not, 1, use a different theme. All right, we got someone says in the question box that they're scared of it. Then change, yeah. So, I guess not a lot of people have tried it, or not too many people just want to comment right now. But, that director's cut theme, Dave Keats, hey Dave, what's happening? He says he never liked the Genesis framework much. No, Dave, you're not missing anything important. That theme, there's a lot of moving parts to it. You have to actually buy Genesis and another component, then you put the theme on, and it could get a little bit cumbersome. And I know that I've seen a lot of people having trouble with it. I've seen him post in the Facebook group. I've got messages. I know Fletch probably has gotten way more messages on it than me. That they have trouble setting that theme up. So what we're going to do is we're going to make things real simple. Okay? This actual webinar is actually going to become a training webinar that we're going to put in the back end. And it's going to be 3 parts. Right? So it's going to be a 3-part series where Mark is going to help us, and he's going to go in. We're going to, he's already set up a WordPress, right? You've already set up a WordPress already, right, Mark? On a sample domain?
I've installed WordPress, that's it.
Right, just install WordPress. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go out, we're going to find a theme, we're going to look at good themes, bad themes, where to get themes that are easy to use. We're going to upload it, and then we're going to start editing it so that we have My City SEO site. So, I mean, let me know, guys. Is this something that you guys would like to see? Give me a hell yeah in the Facebook, because in the Facebook group here, I want to pump Mark up, man, because he's actually told me what he's going to be showing, and I know he's spent a good amount of time on this, and this isn't easy to do. Like, sometimes you guys might see a training like over the shoulder and think, oh, it's easy to put together, but a lot of times it's very difficult because you have to think about a lot of components and you have to explain what you're doing. So he really put in a lot of time. So I want to get at least 100 hell yeahs on here. Like I should have at least 100 on here because we have, almost 200 people on. So getting 100 hell yeahs on here should be no problem. Yeah, we're going to talk about mobile and AMP, all that stuff. So we're gonna talk about soup to nuts on this thing, so that you guys will be able to figure out if you want to do this or if you want to hire somebody, whatever. You'll have the full scope of what's going on with websites. So, all right. So now, with that intro, before we get going on this, though, I just wanted to let you guys know what's coming. There is a couple of things I want to address. One was there was a Facebook post today that someone was having a problem with Google My Business, and I forgot exactly who it was, but they were contacting Google, asked them for like a business license, a picture, a picture of their storefront, and all these other things. And the simple response was that I had to them was that you can easily go into Google My Business, and there's a contact us button, and there I even put a little video showing where it is, and you could actually contact Google. And his problem was he was an SEO, he had his SEO business, but it was at his house. So that's something that you can easily contact them, and and then they'll be able to walk you through it. Now, someone else commented on there, well, like, 'cause I know Cotton doesn't use Google My Business, so he's like, well, Cotton doesn't use it, so just forget about it. Don't use it. Now, Cotton doesn't use it for his business, and he explains why he doesn't use it for his SEO business, but it doesn't mean that if you run into a problem that you just forget it because it's a problem and you shouldn't deal with it. So I want to talk more to the fact of to Google My Business. I mean, that's a separate issue that kind of could resolve itself for what I just said. But to the fact of, if you run into an issue, if you run into a problem, just stop and don't worry about it. Because what if if you run into that problem with your My City SEO site, and you fix it, great. Now you have knowledge of how Google works, how to get around problems. If you just forgot about it, what if you took on a client and they were having problems now with their Google My Business? Now you didn't figure it out for your own site. Now you got to try to figure it out with your client site, where it's even more pressure, right, to do that. So a lot of times these obstacles come up, and if you can't find the answer right away, or if you're frustrated, don't quit at it. Just keep going with it, because it's going to pay off in the long run. Because believe me, if you take on enough clients, they're going to run into some issues with that Google My Business. And two is different clients, right? It's going to affect different clients differently getting in that 3-pack, right? If you're a service business, like I do a lot of lead gen, service business, it's probably the most powerful thing you can do, because when someone's looking for something, say a water damage, mold removal, plumber, they look in their phone, they can call right from their phone, right? There's no other way you can do that I know of. And it shows up at the top 3, right? The first things they see. So, I mean, that's pretty powerful for a service business. So it is something that you're going to want to figure out. All right. So, I mean, that's it. That's what I want you guys. I just want to go over a little bit. And, right, David Key says he just got verified for his home office. Great. Okay. So, good. All right. Good. So, that's that. And two, there is ways that to get the business verified. A lot of times, if you're having problems getting a card, right? Like, this is a separate issue. And if you wait after that 14 days, or it's usually 14 days, and you call them, a lot of times you can verify over the phone. So, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff you can do. All right. Where did you put the video on how to contact Google My Business? It's in the thread, but it's super easy. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log in right now. I paused my screen, and I'll log in right now and show you exactly where it is. I just have to get on a Google My Business account that I use as an example. All right, let me just find one here. Hold on, My Business. Okay, so here's my screen. Okay, so this is like a Google My Business, right? This is one. I just did it as a sample once. It's not verified. It really is nothing. I just made it up. But if this is your Google My Business and you want to contact Google, you just go here to this drop-down menu, and you just go right here to support, and right here. See, you can do a phone call or a live chat. That's it. That's all you gotta do. To verify, you're gonna have to make sure that you wait the 14 days, and they may call the number on the Google My Business. They may ask for pictures of your business or different things like that. But usually you can get it verified. I don't think I've ever called and not been able to get it verified. After I waited the 14 days or whatever for the card to come out. So that's that right there. Close that. And all right. So that's it. All right. Okay. Mike Plugger says, looks like someone clicked on his listing and suggested an edit, so Google looked at it and then suspended it. All right. Well, hopefully you're able to get that cleared up, Mike. And if you're still having problems with it, let me know. All right. Yeah. So Megan, I just showed you how to contact them. All right. See. So Karen, see right here. She says Google gave me a hard time. Then she let them know that she has a business license and belongs to the Chamber of Commerce, and they accepted it. So that's the thing, is they just want to know, like, if you keep at it and you keep contacting them and say, no, I'm a real business, show them business cards, show them different things, they're going to eventually accept you, right? Because they just want to weed out the lead gen people. They want to weed out spammers and everything else. If they know that you're an actual person, you're legitimate, you shouldn't probably have a problem. All right, so that's it. Hopefully that's good. So guys, what I want you to do too is like if you get that lesson a little bit, it wasn't really a lesson, but just give me a hashtag, no obstacles, right? Because really, in this business, that's how you have to look at it, that there's no obstacles, okay? So give me a hashtag no obstacles right here in the so let me get like 100, 150 of these no obstacles, because that's what it is you just keep investigating and keep going at it, and you'll be able to figure it out. All right. So, okay, let me just hit a couple of questions, and then we'll let Mark get into it. All right. So, all right. So, getting them. Let's see. Okay, so I just got a bunch of people saying they've called Google and got stuff resolved. So, cool. All right, so there it goes, guys. So that's about it. I mean, so unless you guys got any pending dire questions, I'm going to let Mark kind of go into this, because he's kind of got something prepared. So, as I pass the screen, I mean, Mark, are you ready to go?
I'm good to go.
You're good to go. All right. Hopefully I gave you a good enough intro. I mean, people were asking, Mark, if you're going to be showing, like, mobile compatible and
Yeah.
AMP and all that other stuff.
Yeah, we can get there. No problem.
Yeah, because most themes are usually mobile friendly now anyway, right?
Yeah, it's a requisite,
Yeah, pretty much. Network Crusader, Scott, you got to contact Gregory. Oh, he's asking when you get images or videos. No, because they just use the URL, Scott. You're fine. It's just images URL, so you're not going to get in trouble. Anyway, okay. Without further ado, let me pass this over, and let's do this. Let's give it. Let's welcome Mark. Right, so let's just give a hashtag Mark, or like a welcome Mark. Right, now I think should pop up. Are you an OMG way, Mark? I don't know why your name's not popping up here.
Let me get in there.
Rusk.
ROS. KOW.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's there. It just took a while to pop up. Anyway, let's give him a big welcome. And I'm going to pass the screen over. And let me do this. I'm going to make him the presenter. All right. So, Mark, the link should pop up. There we go.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys. So, Mark, guys, just know that this is an actual lesson. So there's not going to be a lot of, hype going on, or you guys just pay attention, take notes. We're going to have a recording in there, but this is just going to be like a straight lesson. So, Mark, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. So a little bit about me. I've been doing websites for about 12 years now. I started back when WordPress was an infant and didn't have menus. Believe it or not, this was back in the early days. I started, my first websites were all Flash-based, and it's crazy. So I've been extensively developing on WordPress for at least 6 years, and I would say 99% of what I do is WordPress-based. It's awesome. So this training is really for people who are struggling with setting up an agency site, setting up a website of their own. I understand bootstrapping. I understand, trying to pinch pennies and save where you can. So what this is going to do is going to walk you from start to finish on how to create a site that you are proud of and that people can see and have a positive experience with you and your brand. So if you're frustrated, if you feel like you're rubbing two sticks together to try and make something happen in WordPress, I understand. I've been there. And hopefully this training will get you from A to Z a lot faster than on your own. So if you are new to WordPress, if you don't know really anything about WordPress at all, we are going over the most basic stuff. I'm going to show you click for click what I do to set up a site. So what I want to start with is just a few background things that I've already done already, and maybe when we launch this full training, I can do a couple quick videos on how to do this stuff, but this is just some very basic stuff I think most people understand how to do. So the first thing I did today was I registered this domain. I went to GoDaddy. I paid $2.99 for omgwebdesign.us. And if you've been in college, this is sort of our lab. We're going to have some lessons, and I'm going to build this site live for you. You can reach it on the web and kind of see the progress and follow along. You can take this stuff and follow it step by step and have success. So I purchased that on GoDaddy. I host everything on SiteGround. So I went and changed the name servers on GoDaddy to point to SiteGround. Then, using the cPanel auto installer, I installed WordPress. And that gave me this. This is just a plain, basic WordPress site. Nothing special is going on. This is the first post. When you do SiteGround install, they install this for you. So they wrote that and they pasted it on there and tried to promote themselves. So that's all I've done so far. So the first thing I want to tackle is about how to pick a good host. I picked SiteGround. I've been on SiteGround for a year and a half. Doing this for 12 years, I have probably tried every single host out there, from GoDaddy, HostGator. I've had shared hosting where there's a whole bunch of people on your server. I've had my own private boxes that are very expensive on a monthly basis. I've tried Bluehost. I've tried WP Engine. I've had a ton of little minor hosts with my PBNs, but SiteGround is my number one recommendation if you're looking for someone to host with. It's reliable, it's quick, it's fast, it's secure, and the best thing is when I chat with customer service, they reply within a minute. I was fed up with Bluehost because they used to have really responsive customer service, and I don't know if they were required or something, but their customer service is terrible now. And I just don't have time to sit around and waste all day when I have an issue, so I went with SiteGround. It's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. If you are trying to host a money site, I would encourage you to go to SiteGround. Now, money site hosting is different than PBN hosting, because PBNs, we don't really care if they're fast and agile and, could have, balanced loads and all this. We don't care. Those are for other purposes. But for our money sites, we do care because people are going to go on them. They're going to access them. If you have a 6-second page load, something comes up, you're going to have a higher bounce rate. So we want really good hosting. So the consequences of having bad hosting is it's slow as a dog. You're waiting for the server to respond. You get hacked a lot, and they don't help you. Or if they do help you, it's like 2 days later. In my business, I need someone to count on. And the best thing is the price numbers are pretty. Yeah.
Oh, Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you just real quick go to the SiteGround main site?
Yeah, absolutely.
So people can see it. They're asking for the URL. So it's just
Yeah.
SiteGround.com.
SiteGround.com. Yeah, absolutely. I can't recommend enough. $3.95 a month. I think I end up paying for what I do, because I host a ton of stuff. I end up paying, I think, $200 a year. I pay it just all at once. It's awesome. So the difference between this and GoDaddy is not much. If you're on GoDaddy now, even if you're on like managed GoDaddy stuff, it's terrible. I can't say enough bad stuff about GoDaddy. So SiteGround, SiteGround is kind of a premium host. My second choice would be Bluehost. They sort of taken a step down in quality, but they are a little cheaper. So SiteGround was by far my recommendation. Second is Bluehost. So what does hosting do? Hosting is basically, it holds your files. And so when someone goes to your URL, it's routed to a computer. There's a computer somewhere, a server, holding your files, and that renders your site. So we're paying for a computer to hold files and for some DNS stuff and all that stuff. But, hosting just is going to take what we make, it's going to hold it for us, and it's going to render it for people. So choose a good host. Again, I recommend SiteGround. So after I have a host and I've installed WordPress, which is where I am at on this website right now, I need a theme. Now this is the 2016 theme that comes standard on all WordPress sites. Unfortunately, this is ugly. This is not what I want. I need something that's going to, look good for the customer, that's going to be, flashy and, convert well and responsive, and all of those things we want out of websites. So I look for themes on a place called Theme Forest. Being in here for a long time, I've tried a ton of themes, hundreds probably, and I find Theme Forest has very reliable themes that work well. They're very intuitive to use. They have snazzy features that impress clients. They also just have really easy to use themes. I have tried Genesis. I've tried all of those types of things. They're way more complicated than they should be. WordPress is an easy platform. That's why it's so popular. I don't like things that make it overly complicated that slow my business down. For me, I'm sitting here coding all day. The quicker I can get something delivered, the more money I'm making. The more I can get it off my development plan and get something else. So I like really intuitive themes. Now, understand the theme is the foundation of what you're doing. It's the start. So if you have a strong foundation, it's going to make your development quicker. It's going to make it easier. You're not going to be frustrated. If you have the right theme, oftentimes they have support, or there's a bunch of people asking questions on Google, and you can find, when you get stuck, you can find help. So start right. I cannot overemphasize how important it is to have the right theme. A consequence of a bad theme is that it's hard to use. It wastes your time. You get frustrated. You want to quit. They're not updated regularly. So WordPress is a living ecosystem. It's a living environment. It's constantly being updated all the time. You see the notifications. And so if you don't have a theme that is up to date, sometimes it can break. And I look for developers who are on top of the curve rather than behind the curve. I don't want, my client calling me, screaming because, my site's not loading, and I can't reach the developer, and it's just a nightmare. So I look for a good theme that's well supported. I also like themes that don't require a lot of custom coding. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to say for someone that does custom coding all day long, but custom coding is, I try to encourage everyone I ever talk to, when they want something, if they want something custom, I discourage them, because custom solutions break. If I'm relying on this, custom coded thing that was developed on, for WordPress 3, and then all of a sudden 4 comes out, it doesn't break, then I'm going to spend a bunch of time rewriting that code. So what I try to find is I try to find stuff that's already coded for me that is supported by some other developer. So, when someone's talking to me, when they're, like, oh, I want this, thing to fly in and, rainbows to shoot out and all this stuff, I say, that would look cool, but let's try to think something that might be a little bit easier to implement. And so I try to look for pre-made solutions to everything I do because it's often the quickest way. It's it gives the least frustration, and it doesn't leave me in the lurch of trying to kind of code something up to kind of fix a patch that broke. So I want to look on ThemeForest, and this is how I pick out a theme. So let me show you one strategy of picking out a theme. So you go here to themeforest.com, click on WordPress. Here are all the themes. They have them listed in different categories, which is kind of cool. They also sell different themes for all types of other things: HTML, CMS, e-commerce, whatever. So one thing you could...
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, I'm sorry, it was last time. But there's a lot of questions coming in the question box. Just so you guys know, we'll have a question and answer at the end. So if you have a question, write it down and save it for then, because it might get mixed. We'll probably just start answering questions right after. So if you post it now, we may not see it. So anyway,
absolutely.
All right. Go ahead, Mark.
Yep. All right. So one thing I can do is I can just search for my topic. So let's say I've got like a plumber or, general contractor. He comes to me and says, hey, I need a website. One thing I could do is I could query ThemeForest to say, what do you have in that genre? So let's just take a look at this theme. So this is number one. This little lightning bolt here means that it's popular, it's trending. Sometimes that's cool, sometimes it's not. So let's look here. So I'm going to click Live Preview. This is the demo. And the first thing is I'm just going to look at the theme. And this one has kind of a bunch of different home pages. So I'll just kind of click on one. Okay, this loads. Oh, it's kind of cool. It looks good, looks modern, looks contemporary, all this stuff. So this is passing my 5-second, would this look cool for the client test? And it does. So the second thing I want to do is I want to look at how many sales does this thing have? Because the last thing I want to do is get in a situation where I'm the third buyer and this guy's made, $75 off of, hundreds of hours of coding this thing, and he just, wants to walk away from the project because it's not getting any traction. So this has 5,000 sales. That's a good indicator to me that this is popular enough. This guy, at $50, a sell or whatever, that's enough money to keep him hooked into keeping this thing alive. I look at the ratings. That's another indicator of a good theme to me. And this is very important to me as I look at the created date, which is the day it was first available, and then the last updated date. That tells me how many times he's coming out with new updates. So I would feel comfortable with this theme right here. It passes all of the initial tests for me, and if I liked it, I could go ahead and purchase that for my customer. Now, I'm going to change the filters instead of, I'm going to go to the newest, just because I want to show you something I would stay away from. So here's this one. Doing this live, so I have no idea what this theme looks like. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of do the 5-second eye test. Okay, looks okay, right? I mean, it's not as construction related as I had hoped, but that obviously can change. Here's what's making me comfortable, and here's what's not making me comfortable about this thing. Very comfortable that's by an elite author. That means that person has a historic portfolio of good quality stuff. So that's a thumbs up for me. Has 0 sales. That's, I'm very skittish about that. You never want to buy the first year that the theme is made. And it just came out, recently. So, that kind of explains why I'm not going to buy this theme just because of that. There's not enough sales traction to say, oh yeah, this is well adopted. There's good communication. It's just not there. And, so this one, again, 0 sales. I could go through the list. So if you want to take this approach, that's totally fine of looking at an industry-specific theme. That's a totally acceptable way to do it. Oftentimes you can kind of find, themes that are really easy to set up because they look really close to what you want the final product to be. what I do, I don't do this approach. What I do is I prefer a different approach. I take a different philosophy of how I like to build things. I don't want them to give me a construction theme. What I want to do is I want to take a theme that I know I can build anything in the world with and make it fit a construction customer. For example, my son, he's 6, he loves Legos. We buy him the Legos, they're all in his room. You step on them late at night, all that, stuff about being a dad. And so, he'll get a new set and he'll take it out and he'll build the thing. And, it's like a Star Wars thing or a superhero thing. And, it's fun and he plays with it for a little bit. And then he kind of deconstructs it all and he has just a bunch of pieces. And then he takes all those pieces and makes something totally different. For example, the other day I was coming upstairs and he had taken all these Legos. He made like a 6-foot-long selfie stick out of Legos. And I don't know why he did that, but, whatever. It was fun for him. So what I like that approach to design. I like to take a theme that I know can do whatever. It's the Lego pieces that I can bend it and mold it and make it into something I love. So what I do is I go to popular items. These are, the best selling themes so far. And if you look at these themes, they have a track record of great sales, of great support, of always being updated. Avada, I love Avada. It's 1,800 cells. It's awesome. It's a great theme. I use it all the time. I think this guy's done over $1 million in sales of Avada. Historically, I think this is maybe like the sales he's done this week, maybe. I'm not sure about that. Avada, I love it. X theme, I've tried it. I don't really care for that. B theme, that one's kind of confusing. Enfold, I love it. I built my website, markryancreative.com. This is my website. I built it off of the Enfold theme. So what I'm going to do for this purpose is I'm going to walk you through Fold theme from top to bottom, from soup to nuts. We're going to learn how to use this theme, how to make it, how to make an agency website out of it, how to really maximize this. And I've built hundreds maybe of websites out of Enfold, and it can look like whatever you want. So here's why I like this thing. Kreese, he's a Power Elite author. He's like the Uber author. 97,000 times this theme has been purchased. It has 5 stars. It came out in 2013. It's still going. He just released an update last month. It's going. It's awesome. It's going great. It has some demos you can check out. It can look like this. It can look like this. So it's those Lego pieces that I'm looking for. It can look like whatever you want. So what I do is I buy it. If you're not logged in, I'm logged in right now to ThemeForce, but there'll be a buy now button. You click buy now, you check out all that stuff. So what I did earlier today was I downloaded Enfold, and I have it sitting on my desktop, and I'm going to show you what to do after you purchase it. So purchase it from the website, go through, do everything. They take PayPal, they take credit cards, and then download it. So once you download it, you will have a file on your computer. So this is what it looks like when it downloads. It's just a zip file. It's 71 megabytes. And if you have Safari, if you download it through Safari, Safari's automatically going to unzip that file for you. So instead of a zip file, you'll have a folder like this, which is good for us because inside this 71 megabyte theme file is a lot of other stuff just besides the theme. So we have a folder for documentation. We have, license, all this stuff. This file right here is the actual theme. This is what we're going to upload through WordPress. So let me log in to WordPress. So I'm just going to get in. I'm going to get into the back end here. And I've already entered my password earlier today, so it didn't ask me to enter a password. But again, you just log in using normal credentials. And I'm going to go to Appearance, Themes. I'm going to go to Add New. I'm going to click Upload. And I'm going to choose that file that's on my desktop. So I'm going to go in the folder. I'm going to look for enfold.zip. I'm going to open that up. It's going to take a little bit to upload. It is 24 megs. So It's going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to click Install Now. It's going to go out. It's going to do its thing. Essentially, what it's doing is it's putting it in the WordPress folder. Now, that is a 24 megabyte file. Some of you, depending on your host, can have restrictions on the maximum upload size. Some of you can't upload a 24 megabyte file unless you do some changes, some technical changes on the back end that are oftentimes require you contacting your host. So what I did here is I went into my cPanel and I went into File Browser, or File Manager, excuse me, and File Manager is just like a visual FTP of my files. So this is the omgdesign.us website. If I go into WP Content, Themes, I could upload it directly from here if I can't go through the WordPress uploader. So you just click Upload, and again, I'm going to browse for the file and upload it. That'll take a few minutes, and I'll have a zip file sitting here on my server, which I can click, and I can click Extract. So there'll be a zip file sitting here. I click on it one time, I click Extract. That's going to do the same thing that WordPress is doing behind the scenes right now. So let's go back to WordPress. Let's see if it's done. Okay, so it unpacked. That's the same thing as unzipping. Installed the theme. The theme is installed. I can preview it if I want, but I don't really have any content, so I'm just going to go ahead and activate it. All right, I now have the info theme sitting on my website, and I'm just going to click on it, and this is what it looks like. So it looks dramatically different already. Now, these are posts. The same post is there, but it's already changing the branding. So let's get a little bit deeper in what we're doing. So the first thing I do is I go to Pages. I click All Pages. And I'm going to make some new pages. I'm not going to lay pages out. I'm not going to enter content. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I just want to make dummy pages that will hold stuff eventually. So you click Add New. I'm going to click Home. I'm going to call this one Home. I call everything Home. My home page is my home page. Call Home. It's easy to find that way. Go back to All Pages. Add New. Contact Us. Very simple. I'm just creating, placeholders basically. But I'm going to do a couple things with these. So we're making just a very basic structure. These are sort of the quintessential pages almost every site needs. And since we are going for an agency site, I'm going to add services here. And the last thing I'm going to make is I'm going to make a blog. Not that everyone will need a blog or want a blog, but it's going to be the holder of our posts. So I've created a bunch of dummy pages now. Then what I want to do is I want to make sure that instead of loading posts, I want it to load a page. I want when you go to my homepage, I want you to see a page on a bunch of posts. This isn't a blog I'm managing. This is a website. So normally in WordPress, you'd go to Settings, you'd go to Reading, and you would go to Static Page, and you would select Home, and then for my posts, I would select Blog. That's normally how almost everything works. I'll go ahead and save that. Unfortunately, Enfold doesn't work that way. Enfold has a different mechanism. So I'm going to Enfold, and I'm going to select. So I clicked on Enfold, and then under Front Page Settings, I'm going to choose the home page. And where do I want my blog? I want it to be on Blog. So let me save that. Okay, now when I reload, now I have a page. This is a page. Here's a menu going on. It made that for me automatically. And I don't have any content on there, so it's blank. But now I have a page, and I could click on all of these. I would see the same thing. It's just a blank page. But that's the first step of where I want to go eventually. Now I'm going to go back into the Enfold options. These are the theme options. Depending on which theme you choose, they could be under Appearance. Sometimes it goes appearance, and then there's the theme options. But for this theme, they have their own main level. So I'm just going to click Enfold. That's going to give me my theme options. And you can look here, and it's fairly intuitive. You know, we did the front page settings. We picked a page as home. We picked a page for our posts. Now it's asking us for a logo. Now, if you kind of read this small text here, it gives a recommended logo size. It does not have to be that size. If you have a square logo, if you have a tall logo, that's fine. We will change the theme around it by saying, hey, this is a great size for a logo. So I made a logo this afternoon. It's not the coolest logo, but it'll do our best. Okay, so this is just me kind of fooling around for a little bit. And so I uploaded it. And I just click full size here because it's going to give the highest quality photo we have. So I uploaded, and then I chose full size. And I'm going to say use image as logo. So there it gives me a preview of what the logo will look like. This is a PNG file. And if you aren't into graphics, the advantage of using a PNG file is that it allows the background to be transparent. These kind of checkerboards here. That means there's no background. So if I decide that I want a colored header here, my logo is going to look okay because it's going to sit on top of it. If I have a JPEG, which is the most common file type for pictures, if I had like a JPEG, it would have a solid background. So if this was a logo on a white background and I decide to do a colored header, there's going to be this white box around my logo. It's going to look tacky. So I always use PNG files when I'm working on logos, and I always want them to be transparent. So if you're ordering a logo, you want to get that from your designer. If you're making it yourself in Photoshop, there shouldn't be a problem. So it asks us for a logo, simple upload, ask favicon, same thing I did it this afternoon. Go here, I have a favicon. Now the favicon, if you don't know, is this little thing right here. So a favicon, this is the ThemeForest favicon. It just helps people recognize your site and like a list of bookmarks and stuff like that. So there's my favicon. It's just the graphic part of the logo. So I'm going to put that up there too. Let me save this, and we'll see what it does to the site. So one cool thing about WordPress is that you can kind of fiddle and then just see how it's going. So if you aren't sure of the code or you aren't sure of how that's going to look, just try it out. You can always go back. So logo looks fine. Favicon went in. That's good. Sometimes the favicon doesn't go in right away. But, looks good. Excuse me, we've got this green thing going on. Everything's going well. So let me kind of go through a few of the other options in this general layout and kind of talk to you what they mean. We will visit these sections in depth later. But just kind of orient you to the theme. So a page preloading, it does this like kind of fancy animation type of thing. It's optional to use. Some people like it, some people don't. It's a check mark. You can show it. You can check it, show it to your client. If they don't like it, uncheck it. No big deal. Light modal window. So a modal is like a pop-up. It's like a fancy name for a pop-up. And what this does is this theme has this fancy pop-up when you click on a picture. You can disable that here. Lock the advanced layout builder. If you don't want people going in there, then you can, lock that or whatever. Web-safe fonts, fallback for Windows. This basically allows you to establish if you're using some sort of custom fonts and someone with an old browser goes to your website. This prevents it from looking kind of funky. And then another cool thing about this theme is that it has automated schema, which is cool. So this automatically, it comes activated with schema already, but this is a cool way to leverage some schema. Now, a very important part of this theme is that it allows you to automatically insert your Google Analytics tracking code. And I can't tell you the number of websites I've logged in, and I've seen people using all kinds of plugins to simply put in their Google Analytics tracking code. My philosophy of WordPress design is you want as few plugins as possible, because a plugin is a weak spot, both from a security standpoint, from a, it's another thing you have to update, it's another thing that slows the system down, takes memory, all this stuff. If I could have 2 plugins on my site, I'm happier, because I want to try to do the most with code without relying on something else to do it for me. So instead of downloading some sort of Google Analytics plugin, which you install because you're not sure where to put the code and you don't want the code wiped out after updates, you just paste it in here. I don't have a dummy Google Analytics tracking code, but we can, if someone has questions about that, we can talk about that further. But basically, Google gives you a just some script, and you paste the script in here, and you click Save, and now your Google Analytics is tracking. So there's a lot here on the theme options. The main things are these settings here, and the logos and favicon in your Google Analytics. This stuff here is optional. Don't get lost if you're not sure what that means. Next thing is we're going to look through the general layout. General layout is just how does this theme look? The options I want you to pay attention to are, do you want it stretched, which means it spans the whole entire screen, or do you want it boxed, which means instead of spanning the whole screen, it spans a certain amount of pixels, and then there'll be colored space to the left or right. I would say the most popular websites now are stretched, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's totally up to you. So I usually always pick stretched. I think it looks cool. It's very trendy right now to have those kind of colored bars that go all the way, from side to side. So that's a stretched layout. So I usually do stretched layout. And then here you can choose, do you want the logo on the top in the header? Do you want the header up here? Or do you want it over here on the side? Or do you want it over here on the side? So that's here. Top header stretch layout is, my go-to. Works great for almost every site. Dimensions, don't really worry about this too much. I've only had to change this one time in my life. But, it's automatically responsive, which is good. That means it's automatically mobile friendly. Responsive, if you don't know what responsive is. So as I move this, see how that changes? You'll notice here I've got a hamburger menu instead of the normal menu, and my sidebar goes to the bottom. And if we have some content, it'll be more apparent, but that's responsive. It's responding and changing dynamically to the size of the screen. So this is the phone, this is a desktop, and it goes from there. So responsive is great. It makes sure you're mobile friendly, all ready to go. So, keep that checked all the time. This is the container size. Don't even worry about that. It's more confusing. It's. If you're ever stuck, ping me. I can help you through that. Don't even worry about it. So the main thing we want to choose here is we want to know if we want it stretched, full size, or we want it boxed. And we just want to make sure that says responsive. General styling. So here you can just pick colors. Now the cool thing, what I like to do, let's say I'm working with somebody and they have blue branding, they have a blue logo. We have this green logo, so we're kind of good here. But you can just click these, and it's to change the colors of the website for you automatically. And it's giving you a preview right here of what it looks like. So the first thing I do is I try to find the color scheme that matches closest to my client's branding. So if they're, a luxury brand, everything's black, I'm going to start here. I'm going to go black. And then, maybe that's not it. I'll check out modern black, that's not quite it either, but, I'm going to mess around. So ours is green, so I'm going to go with splash of green. I can customize this further if I need to, but this gives me a head start. It's going to get me in the ballpark, so I don't have to do so much manually changing the colors later. So this gives you a preview of the different areas of what this is talking about. So, for example, down here, I want to customize the logo area. This is the logo area. That translates to this. This is the header. This is what they're talking about when they say the logo area. So if I want this to be green and these to be white, I'm going to change this in here. So, logo area, background color. Here's the logo area. The background color is the color in the back. So, it's now white. That makes sense. I could flip-flop these colors, and I could have a green background. So, if, for example, you have someone that, green got us close, but, they're not really that shade of green. They're more this shade of green. So what I do simply is I find the shade I want, and I just copy it. And anytime I see this olive color, I'm going to paste in the new color. Simple as that. That's going to get me, 95% of the way there. If I need to change something later, I can, but that gives me a really good head start. So, here's the logo area. The main content area is the body. This thing, that's where the main content is. It shows you up here what the main content is. Alternative content is this theme allows you to have like a secondary color so that you get, a very popular trend right now in web design is to have the blocks that are broken up with different colors. This allows you to have a alternative content area already, so you don't have to manually enter the colors. Footer, again, the footer's down here. This allows you to change the color of the footer. And the socket, which is kind of a weird term, the socket is this very bottom part here that has the copyright. So that's the socket color. The body background, this is if you're using the box theme, which I'm not, so I can't change that. And this allows me to change the fonts. So the heading font are your H fonts, H1, H2. Those are like the titles. You could change that here. These are just Google fonts. If you're not familiar with Google fonts, you can just look them up, and it'll give you a picture of what it looks like. So here's Open Sans. Love Open Sans. Roboto, all kinds of stuff. So you can go through, you can look them up if you're like, what's this? For my website, I'm using two different fonts. I'm using Oswald for the H tags, and then I'm using Open Sans here for the body text. If you get stuck and you're like, I don't know what looks good together, this is also a website. I've used it a lot. It's called fontpair.co, and it just tells you, hey, these fonts look good together. So sans serif and serif, if you want, sans serif means there's no pointy things on it. I'm sure that's the technical phrase. And then serif is serif has like the points on the end. So if you want, whatever combination you want, it's here for you. So just look at it and be like, oh yeah, I like this, and then you just pick them out. So Open Sans is a great thing to go with. It's very clean, very minimal, kind of popular. So I like going with that. The final area that you cannot miss. Do not miss this area. Oh man, I love this area. So sometimes instead of, sometimes you have to kind of change something manually. You need to write some CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and basically it allows you to style elements of the website. And I know that's like way too much kind of technical jargon for where we're at right now, but it's something you will use. It's a very common thing. So let's say, for example, I want my menu, instead of be green, I want this to be orange. If I can't find a color chooser for that, I'm going to go in here in my quick CSS, I'm going to write some CSS for it. Now, the cool thing about this is that this survives all of the theme updates. So if you have ever tried to customize a theme and you go into the actual CSS file and you change something, next time the theme is updated, it wipes out all of your CSS changes, which can be like super frustrating. So the normal kind of traditional route is you make a secondary theme that is sort of on its own and is it's like a child, they call it a child theme. It's like it's like its own theme, but it kind of relies on the parent theme. This, you don't have to do child themes with this. This allows you to write all the custom CSS you want, and it'll always survive updates. Super powerful. I love it. So, code your brains out right there. And if you have no idea what CSS is, don't worry about it. We can cover that later. So that's general styling. Again, pick a color pattern that you like. Go through, pick the different options if you need to. For the most part, you could probably leave them the same, and then just be aware that this is here if you ever need to do any CSS changes. Advanced styling. On this theme, it's not that great. I've used some other themes where the advanced styling is like very powerful. But for example, let's say we want to change the H1s only. You click H1, click Edit, and now it allows me to change different aspects of the H1. So it doesn't have, like the buttons. Okay, so let's say we're going to edit the buttons. I'm a little disappointed that you can't change more of the button options from this. So the only thing you can change is the border radius. which isn't that cool, in my opinion. But understand it's here. If for some reason you're trying to change something specific, you can't quite get to it, it's under here. We will talk about that when we need to. The header area. All websites are based upon three things: header, body, footer, right? Top, middle, bottom. So here are the header options. You can choose where you want the logo. This is a logo left, menu right, very common thing. You can flip-flop those two. Logo left, menu below, logo center. There's your options for that. So we're going to leave it logo left, menu right. That's just very common. Slim header, I like the most. Large header is just a fatter header. Or you can do custom. So if for example, you're doing a website for the Eiffel Tower and their logo is the Eiffel Tower and it's a very tall logo, well, the slim's not going to work, large isn't going to work. You have to do something custom. So that's when you would want to employ that. If you do custom, it's going to ask you how high do you want it. You can make it the height of the logo. But, we're playing with a good logo. We're playing in good sizes, so we can choose slim. Separated between the menu items, do you want like a line that breaks up the different menu? So like right here, do you want a line right there? That would be there. Default header style. This is, I would say just play with this and see if you like it. I click it, save it, refresh, see if you like it. And then do you want breadcrumbs showing? So this is the breadcrumb right here. Breadcrumb is a way to navigate the site and orient you to the site. I personally don't like them for most of my designs, so I would hide them. That's my preference. So let me hide it and show you what happens. That goes away. I like the way that thing looks. And then there's more options about the header. Sticky. This is kind of fatty right now. Back in the early days of web design, it was just how it worked. Now it's kind of come back where as you scroll, the header comes with you. Some people like that, some people don't. If you want it to scroll with you, see how the header's scrolling with me? It's still up there, rather than it being unstuck there. Let me show you. Let me save it. I'll show you. So when I was scrolling before, the header was coming down. Now, let me refresh. The header's going to stay up there. It's a personal preference type of thing. That's here. Shrinking header, so when it is sticky, it does this kind of cool shrinking thing. It's just a cool visual. That's that option. All that stuff. Do you want a search icon up there? All this stuff we'll kind of get into as we kind of make and mold the site. Sidebar settings, here's where you're dictating the sidebar. So I have a sidebar right. I'll get rid of that in a second because I don't like sidebars on my designs. I like just full-on pages, but, you could do it here. So let me take the sidebar off. I can also move it to the left or right. I'm going to keep it on the blog because oftentimes in blogs, that's a popular thing. And let me hide it on everything else. And then refresh. And my sidebar's gone. Now, that also killed all the content because that was it, but I don't like a sidebar. And rather than having to turn it off on every single page, I'm turning it off globally, which is going to save me a little bit of effort on the end. Footer. This is the footer here. You can tell the number of columns. So there are 4 columns right here. I can switch that to 1, 5, etc., etc. Here I can say, display the footer and the socket, or not. Normally the socket is tiny, but since the content is blank, it's not there. Here I can do the copyright. Right now it comes with a default copyright. I don't like that, so I'm gonna copy this, paste that in there, and then I'm gonna do bracket. No, I think it's no-link. I'm gonna save this. And so it's got this link to Enfold. Oh, that wasn't it. I think it's no link altogether. If not, I'll have to look it up. Okay, yeah, so that dropped off. So I don't want to give this guy any links. I don't want to give him my link juice. So I took the link off. So I just copied the copyright. So, I'll probably add 2016 in there. And you do bracket. no training all, or excuse me, no link altogether. Blog layout. As we go through the blog, we'll go through these options, but understand you can customize the blog in a bunch of different ways. Social profiles. If you have social profiles you want to advertise, you put them in here, and then it allows the site to pick them up later. If I want to add another one, just click the little plus sign. Let's say I want to do Facebook. And a cool thing about, when you're doing dummy content, anytime you want to do a dummy link, just put a hashtag, and it will create the visual of the link, but it won't go anywhere. Newsletter. This has this kind of built-in newsletter thing. I never use it. Demo import allows you to import the demos that they already made. So if you want sort of a head start on things, if you're like, hey, I'm doing a restaurant and I kind of want it to look pretty much like this, click to import. It'll bring everything in for you, and the battle's half over at that point. Export, if you ever need to save it, it's here. And then if you ever need to keep your theme updated, it's in here. I always put the stuff in, but since this is a webinar, I'm not going to enter my credentials here. It just allows you to automatically update the stuff. So that was a lot of information to go through. That was the main options in the back end of Infold. Those are the things that are going to make it look pretty. It's going to change the functionality of the theme. We are going to come back in there as needed, but this is pretty much how I would set this website up. I wouldn't expect to have to come back in here unless I want to change something specifically as I'm designing. So I am pretty much ready to start designing. Before I hop in and we lay out some pages, which I think we're going to save for next week, I just want to go over a few plugins that I use. Again, I am minimalistic on my plugins, but I always put Gravity Forms on a website. Gravity Forms is what's going to generate my discovery form, my contact form. If you go to my contact page on my website, this is a discovery form. If you go to, this is a Gravity form. If you go to my discovery form, again, this is powered by Gravity Form. It's very powerful. I love it. I think it's like $25. If you don't want to pay out $25, there is a harder to use but free version called Contact Form 7. You can just find it in the WordPress repository. So I'll just kind of walk you through doing that real quick. So if I want to install a plugin, I go to Plugins, Install Plugins. That's going to show me which plugins I have. So right now I have Kismet, Hello Dolly, Jetpack, and SG Cash Press. I don't like any of these, honestly. SG Cash Press I'll keep because it's a site-ground plugin that makes my website a little bit. But this stuff I don't ever use, so I'm going to delete it. Again, I don't want to have stuff on my website that I don't need. It makes me update it more often. It could also be a vulnerability. So let's say we want to add Contact Form 7. I'm just going to search here, Contact Form 7. You see I've installed it a bunch of times. It's very popular. And you just click Install Now. Click Activate. Very simple stuff. And over here, I have a thing called Contacts. And I can add a new contact form. If I don't want something in the WordPress repository, I can upload it. So let's say I purchased a custom plugin. I'm going to choose File, just like we did with the theme, right? So I'm going to visually look for Gravity Forms. So I've got it here. So upload just like uploading a theme. Every plugin you ever install operates just like this. Very simple, straightforward. This is a very good beginning skill to have of how to upload plugins. So we're just going to let this kind of do its thing. Same thing, it activated here. And now I have this thing called Forms. And I'll go ahead and put that in when we're offline so we can use that next week. So I always use Gravity Form, my #1 form plugin. If I want to use a free version, use Contact Form 7. The second thing I do is I always install some security plugin because WordPress does get hacked. It just happens. So I install iThemes Security. There are multiple security things out there. I've used this one for a long time. It has 800,000 active installs, so it's pretty good. It's updated regularly, so I'm going to go ahead and install that. And one other thing I set up, and that is Yoast, also called WordPress SEO. I went through a bunch of websites I've made, and these were about the only plugins I've used on the sites. I don't like using plugins unless I have to. Okay, so I'm good here. I've got my minimalistic website. I'm going to go ahead and leave Contact Form 7 on there because I will show you in the next training on how to set up a form using Contact Form 7 because it is very popular. But I will eventually delete it because I'm going to exclusively go with Gravity Forms. So let's kind of review what we've got so far. We learned how to upload a theme from scratch. We learned how to pick out the right theme, how to make sure we're building our foundation right. We learned how to build pages. We learned how to set a default page so that when we loads a page instead of posts. We learned about how to upload and install plugins. We learned about some of the nitty-gritty details about Enfold theme. Understand that all themes are going to have a slightly different backend, but it's the same types of things. You know, if you buy a good plugin, if you buy a good theme, you're going to see these types of things. This may be called menu instead of header. That's fine. Just kind of, use a little bit of critical thinking and say, I'm trying to change this, that's in the header. It's also the menu. I'm going to look and see what kind of options I have under those keywords. And usually you can find it. And if you can't, just Google. It usually comes up. We looked at, a ton of stuff in here that we're going to use more frequently later. And we've kind of talked about a minimalistic philosophy of plugins. So that's kind of the training for tonight. We haven't laid out any pages. We've got this, baby site that's new and blank that we will populate next week. But this is going to give you a really good head start. It's already looking better than how it was. And it didn't cause us pulling teeth, and I think it took less than an hour to do it. I will say this, just sort of throwing this out there. Some of you guys will dig your teeth in there. You'll love this. You'll set this up. You'll learn this. Maybe you'll turn this into a service later. That's sort of up to you. I totally get that, but it should give you the confidence to do it. If you are looking for a shortcut from A to Z, if you want to say, this is all great, thanks, Mark, for this training, but my mind kind of turned off in the middle when you're talking about the themes, I totally get that. I understand. You don't want to slow your business down. I do operate a website called designer.io. It's DZINR.io. And basically, we make websites for you. They're all template based, so you just pick out your template, and we personalize it for you. We've taken a lot of OMGers through this stuff. So go here, check it out, designer.io. If you say, I don't want to do this stuff, thank you for teaching me, but I really just want someone to do it for me so I can focus on getting leads and doing SEO for people, I totally get it. Check it out. We do have a coupon. If you want to save 20% off any of these things, it's the coupon's hot seat. So just check it out. You just go to designer.io. It's kind of a funky spelling. Just go here. You can view the demo site. This is our newest one right here. It's called Bright Agency. And, it's a unique SEO agency website for you. Just check it out. We have, some very other popular themes. Check it out. Designer.io. Use the coupon hot seat and save like $100. So, Joe, you want to do some questions?
No. Oh yeah, we'll do some questions. But that's great. I didn't even know you had that site. That's fantastic. So it gives them like a head start. And guys, before we get into, let me take the screen back, and then I put that Designer.io in the question box. Maybe Mark, someone could drop in a Facebook page, but let me just change the presenter here. Hold on 1 second, and we'll get to some Q&As, some other stuff. So, You guys should be seeing my screen now. Mark, you see my screen?
Yes, I got your screen.
Yeah. Okay, you see my screen. Okay. Guys, so I know a lot of people have been blown away by the training. I mean, this is just the start, Mark, because when you were talking, people in the question box kept saying, man, I wish I had this when I first started. This is incredible. This is great training. And even in the Facebook group, people are saying that. So, Mark, I want to thank you so much for showing us that. I mean, it was so clear, detailed, and simple. So just let's give Mark a big thank you for that training that he went through. Just give a big thank you to Mark, or like Mark's the man, or whatever, right here in the Facebook group, just to show Mark our appreciation, because he really didn't have to go through that. And again, like he said, this is the first part. We're gonna go through a couple more webinars where we're gonna really go into detail, so you'll be able to do your own site if you want, way easier than we've ever had, or any training we've ever had in OMG. So, and you could tell right from the start here about that it's gonna come out really good. Now, I do want to say this. I think it's good that everybody learns about WordPress and, mess around with it and how it works. That being said, I don't do any of my own web design, right? But I know how to use different things. I use Mark for a lot of stuff where I have a client, I hire him, kind of sub out to do the web design to him, and then I just upcharge what he does. So if you guys are interested in doing something like that, I know Mark's always open for that. And then and then two, you can go to, was it Designer.io, DZINR.io. Okay, so, and then this is just, Mark, like you said, this is just some templates that you can, they can do, and then they give you the info and you build out the site, or what?
Yeah, you just pick out which one you want. You check out using just a normal process. Then you come to a customization form that asks you all sorts of things, as far as what videos do you want to use. If you don't have video, we can make one for you. What's your social profiles? What's your articles? And we take the information and we make a unique website for you. And then we push that website onto your server after you approve it. And so basically, all you do is send us information, wait a couple of weeks, and you have a brand new agency website done for you.
Perfect. I mean, this price is crazy right here. $500. That's so cheap.
And we're currently building out new templates for lawyers, plumbers. So you can also do this for your client. It's a fixed cost. Mark it up to whatever you want, and we'll totally white label service. They won't even know we did it for you.
Wow, that's totally awesome. Like that price, I wish I had that when I first started. That is crazy. So that's a really, really good deal. When compared to like sitting there trying to figure it out yourself. I mean, like, time is money, and that is great. So, that's awesome. And would you say there was was there a discount code or something?
There's a coupon right now, hot seat. I'll keep that going,
okay,
while we keep doing these tutorials. So it'll be up for a couple weeks.
Sweet. So that's even better. So, all right, guys. So there's that. And so hopefully we got a ton of thank yous here. Yeah, great job. This is amazing. Yeah, okay. All right. So, and like I said, we're going to go through all the different steps towards the end. So let's get to some of these questions. Len asked, do you have to purchase a theme for every site you build?
The licensing for anything you buy off ThemeForest is for each new project you need to buy a new theme. So it's basically $60 a project. But you can also, you can install the same theme and you can build it and then just license it after the fact. So you can also do it that way too. So, it won't slow you down. But yes, you do need to buy a new one each time.
All right. So yeah. Okay. Scott says, why Yoast first all-in-one SEO? I think it's just preference.
Yeah, for sure.
Different preferences. Yeah. Now, somebody was having a problem with their sitemap, which we can't really, I don't think we can that's something we have to diagnose. But they're asking how they can set up a valid sitemap. They tried Google SML sitemap plugin, and Google tells me I don't have a sitemap.
If you install the Google XML sitemap, it should give you a link to where the location of your sitemap is. I believe in Webmaster Tools you can tell Google, hey, here it is specifically. Maybe if it's kind of a technical thing, but make sure like that file is accessible. Make sure the permissions are right on it. You could have that file out there, and maybe Google can't crawl that. So I would check down those sorts of scenarios. If you need some more technical service, I'm sure if you post in the Facebook group, somebody can help you out.
Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. And two, sometimes if you have too many, like if you have Yoast and then you install Google XML sitemap, you're gonna have two sitemaps. So
yeah.
You don't want to have a conflict there either. All right. If you want to put in a color banner on a page, what is the best way to do that?
If it's a JPEG file, I would just upload it through the media part of WordPress, just like you're uploading any image, and then you can paste that in there. If it's an affiliate code, they usually give you like a script of code that automatically has the banner there. We'll kind of address that next week when we lay out pages and sort of our options. We'll kind of look at how to put pictures and stuff on there. It's also kind of dependent upon what theme you're using. Some themes, have different gyrations. So for the most part, just upload through the media folder, allow you to embed it in any page or post.
All right. And, okay, so George asked, do you recommend buying support? I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about the theme or something.
Yeah, usually, I think this is a new for theme for us. But I believe when you first purchase the theme, you get either 6 months or a year of support. It used to be unlimited support, but they're trying to increase their revenues. So now they, every 6 months they ask you to re-up support. Not really. I don't usually buy it because I use these two themes mostly and kind of know the ins and outs. But if you get stuck on a question, it's like $17. It's well worth paying $17 to have someone answer your question.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So Andre asked if we can show how to build a gravity form, kind of like the one on Cotton's old site. So, we're going to show that right next week or whatever.
Yep.
We're going to be showing how to lay out the gravity form and everything. Yeah. So that's to come. Can Mark talk about SG Cache Press? I think it's just a cache plugin, right? It's just a...
Yeah, that's the one SiteGround uses. The SG stands for SiteGround. It's what they use. There's all different types of caching out there. I forgot the name of the one I like to use is the one that has like a leopard icon. I forgot the name of it. It's like WP Fastest Cache or something like that. I usually use that when I need some caching. But if you like, SiteGround has caching, WP Engine has caching already, so you wouldn't need to use those hosts.
Yeah. All right. Now someone has a Duda mobile theme, Duda site currently, and if so, they're saying, should I change this to a WP site? Right? I don't know. I think your website has to be mobile compatible, right? If it's...
Yeah. So basically, like for a couple years ago, it wasn't the battle was still going on between, is it responsive or is it a specific mobile website that would yourwebsite.com type of thing, and people were still trying to figure that out. Responsive won. M-sites have gone the way of Betamax, so everyone's rolling with responsive now. If you have it already, you can still keep it, but I would encourage you, if you want to do something in the next future, I would recommend just going to a responsive thing. It's a single code base. It doesn't, you don't have to make changes. It keeps it really easy.
Yeah. And then, guys, put your questions in the box, because if you put it in here, In Facebook, I'm reading them from the box, so it might be hard to get to. WP Lightning and WP Amp. Well, we're going to be talking about the Amp plugin a little later. WP Lightning, I mean, that's just, what is that?
Yeah,
so it's a plugin that has a lot of plugins in it, right? Is that what that is?
Yeah. I wrote WP Lightning when I was making PBNs for people. I was setting up their PBNs for them.
Right.
And I was like, I got to do this quicker. And so it basically just kind of auto loads all the options for me. You can build a version of WP Lightning. You can use it to, like creating the pages that we created today. You could do that automatically. If you honestly, like, if you were like, hey, I'm gonna be a WordPress developer now, I would make like a starter theme, and I would just kind of clone that template and kind of put it out there. But I do a ton of websites, and I still don't do that yet. So WP Lightning is mainly for PBNs. It can be used for money sites, but I don't ever use it for that. And then we can talk about AMP later when the site's almost finished.
Yeah. And guys, and this is kind of like a step-by-step how to set everything up. Like, there's definitely going to be shortcuts where you can get a plugin that'll do this and that. But this just is going to give you kind of a 360 view of setting a website up. So we're probably not going to really be showing stuff like, oh, just get this plugin and let it all load everything for you. It's just this is more of like a step-by-step kind of thing. But okay, how do I install Bot Nemesis? You just upload it. I think Mark showed that, Mark, right? Like showing them how to upload the Gravity form.
Yeah, I think it's just a plugin. So you just go plugins, add new.
Yeah, it's a plugin.
Yeah, and then look for the file.
Yeah, if you watch a recording of this and you look at the way Mark uploaded the Gravity form, it's the same thing. So, what about on-page SEO part of site build-outs? So, I don't know if they're talking about if that's from the designer.io or what, or if you want us to go over on-page SEO.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff out there about on-site stuff. It's sort of, I would say, whatever you buy, whatever you do, I think SEO optimization is like the next step after you have a website. I'm going to optimize it for something. Because, that always changes. One day you may be going for your city, maybe you're going for consultant, your state consultant or whatever that turns out to be. So I would look at it as multi-layer. Layer 1, get a website. Layer 2, optimize that website.
Yeah, and you're responsible for your own on-page. Like, you never want to let anybody do the on-page for you. Even if you hire like a web designer or anything, you are responsible for getting the on-page right. That's part of your skill. But we're not going to be talking about. We have a lot of stuff in OMG on how to set up the on-page. Fletch went into detail with his UMAC on-page stuff. I think probably Stephen Floyd talked about it. I talked about it in numerous videos, so is Greg. So, that's something you guys want to do. Okay. Can we send a ThemeForest theme to the clients to pick out? Now, that's a good question because that's actually a lot of what I do is I'll give them choices of themes to pick. Now, I think one of the webinars we're going to do is where we can show you how to kind of pick themes for a client. Like one of the things I do is I'll give them a choice of say 3 themes. They pick a theme and then I'll I can have it someone design it. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do. But Mark, do you do this? You probably don't do that, huh? With how you choose a theme because you start from scratch, or
yeah. So like a few times I've had to do that, and basically what I do is I take a screenshot and then I edit out anything that would kind of tip them off that is a ThemeForest theme. But for the most part, what I do is I ask my client, I say, give me some websites you like the looks of. And they'll send me a few websites, and from there, I just make something. I have not had to make I have not had to mock something up, a design up, in a long time. And that's just sort of the nature of the clients I have. It's honestly a lot of work to mock stuff up, so I love skipping that step. And as long as I get, if I ask them and say, what websites do you love, and they say, oh, I love these two websites, then I know what they're looking for design wise, and I can kind of deliver on that. So that's sort of my approach. But if you want to just do screen caps from ThemeForest, that's totally fine too.
Yeah, yeah. There's all different ways to do it, but let's see. So does this Enfold theme? It doesn't have a developer's license that you can get? Like, do you have to get it every time you do a new one, you have to get one, or is there a developer's license for it?
No, there's not. Yeah, ThemeForest is like once per project.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about like the step. Like this first step is like your guys' website, but we'll also cover like if you have a client, different ways to approach it and things like that. All right. Let's see. I installed all-in-one SEO plugin instead of Yoast, and meta descriptions went away. Is this a setting? How can I access it again? The meta title and description should be in the all-in-one SEO. There's a on the sidebar, you just click on all-in-one SEO, and that's where your meta stuff is. And it'll be at the bottom of the page. Like if you're doing a post or a page, you'll see a all-in-one SEO box. I think I'm correct, right, Mark? Unless there's something I'm missing, that's usually how all-in-one SEO works.
Honestly, it's been a long time since I've been in all-in-one.
Yeah. I use it all the time, so it should be right there. And but if not, then I don't know. It might be a conflict with your theme or something. All right, so Scott wants to know, is the clean agency design on the Enfold theme?
No, clean agency is on Avada.
Avada, okay.
The classic agency is on Enfold, and the Bright agency is on B-Theme.
Okay, all right. Now, someone's having a problem with the Gravity forms receiving the notification email. Can we go over that next week? Yeah, I guess.
One quick fix is make sure you have the right email address in there, because 6 months ago they really cracked down on spam, and so they are very stringent upon what emails go in there. So just make sure that the from email address is not the same as the to email address. So, for example, if you wanted to go to sales@yourwebsite.com, make sure the from is website at yourwebsite.com or something like that. It should work just fine.
Yeah, because I actually ran into that same problem, and I think Marky fixed it for me for that private school site I had. So, all right, and let's see. How can we make a new page to direct to a different website, like how you made a page on markryancreative.com go to My City SEO?
So it's just like when you make a link to something, you can say, does it open in this window or does it open in a new window? Those are just links that open in a new window. And then you can also do that in your menu in WordPress if you want. We can kind of dig into that later, and I can show you that. But it's just basically opening a link in a new window is how that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So we can talk a little bit, and you can also do that in the menu bar too if you want to do it on. Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of questions on this. If you make the site for this, what's the support they want to know? What kind of support?
Generally, if we're friends on Facebook, you can just kind of chat with me on Facebook, and I will, kind of help you out. And if you're like really stuck, I can often log in and fix it for you. But for the most part, these are fairly, they're although they're pretty exhaustive as far as everything you'll need for an agency site. So I've built a lot for people, and I've never had anyone come back to me and be like, "Hey, I need this or I need that." For the most part, it's self-contained. So we've had people on the classic agency for a year and a half now, I believe. Coupled with this training, I think you should be good to go. But if you ever are stuck on something, just chat with me on Facebook, and we'll get it worked out.
Yeah, guys, and two, this is a template, right? Like, and it's complete. I mean, and it's really complete. But for $500, don't be asking for custom features and everything else. Like, you have to look at it for what it is. If you need a custom site and you want all this custom stuff done, then then hire someone to do it to the specs that you want, right? Like, because I know, Mark, you take on clients and you do what they want. You do more custom stuff, move it around. This is kind of like, Mark, right? Like, you see what you got. We're going to put your information in this spices, right? So so let's make that 1,000% clear, because I don't want to see anybody messaging Mark or messaging that they're mad at Mark because he wasn't making custom stuff, because they ordered this template. Because a template is a template.
Yeah. I mean, this is really just trying to get you up and running. I mean, custom stuff, can be 10x this price. So, it's lean and agile, very budget friendly, and it'll be a very professional site for you to use.
Right. Yeah. So, all right, so there you go. All right, so purchase link, just go to dzinr.io. So, and then I guess you can go through that. So, what do you think about Jupyter 5 theme or Beaver Builder plugin, Visual WP Builder?
I'm a real big fan of visual layouts, and the great thing about Infold is that it has a built-in visual designer. So we're going to use that next week. Sometimes you get problems when you're using a visual layout that it's not compatible with, for example, AMP stuff or some other things. So Infold, the visual designer, works great. The Jupyter theme, I think I've used that once, but it's not my bread and butter. So I didn't have a need to go back to it. So I go back to Infold and I start there. I say, here's my project. Can I do it with these two themes? Then if I can't, I look for something else. But I've run hundreds of different sites through these.
Yeah. All right. I'm just looking through the questions right here. So which one of these templates they were asking is Avada?
Avada is clean.
Clean, okay. Have you marketed your web design business to customers? Sure you have, right? I guess they're just asking if
it's
it's a web designer. Yeah.
So. Right. Yeah, that's my name thing. I did a web service ago.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So guys, we're kind of getting to the end of the questions here. Do you set plugins for auto update?
If it's a e-commerce site, I do not, because WooCommerce comes out with an update very soon, and all the stuff that relies on WooCommerce does not update as quickly. So oftentimes websites will go down. So if I'm doing e-commerce, I'm manually updating those sites when necessary. Everything else, I'm fairly confident that I do set things to auto-update, just because I don't use a lot of plugins where I could have these things break. So I love auto-update. I think it's a great feature, especially on your PDNs.
Yeah, I usually set everything to auto-update too. DIVI theme. How do you feel about it? I don't. Do you
I've
know what
never
that
heard
is?
that one. I'm not sure what that one is.
It's probably just a type of theme. Maybe a theme creator type of theme. All right, so let's see. Does your iTheme security plugin take the place of Bot Nemesis? No. Bot Nemesis is totally different. It hides your links. The other one's a security theme. Well, could you walk us through? I mean, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. The Diznar, I don't even know how to pronounce this here. But I mean, right, designer. There you go. It's pretty self-explanatory what you have to do. And right now, you just have agency themes, right? You don't have client themes up on here yet.
Yep, not yet. Working on it.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. Right. Any experience with Nexus themes?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. So Andrea says she has used DIVI themes, and the one Mark showed is better. My internet cut out. What did you say about the tram discounts section? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Tram discounts? Maybe clarify, because I'm not sure what that is. Yes, Bot Nemesis is for your PBNs. It's for your PBNs. Because what it does is it doesn't allow the aggregators to crawl it, so that way no one can see your links. I mean, you can put it on your money site too if you want, but it's mainly for your PBNs. All right, guys. Yeah, guys. So listen. So like I said, this is just the start. Next week we're going to go deeper into setting up this theme. Then we're also going to talk about clients. If you get a client, how you would, maybe if you don't want to build out their theme, how you can show them a few themes, or how you can hire it out, how you can work with somebody. So it's going to be pretty exhaustive by the time we're done. You should have most of all your questions answered with web design, websites, everything else. And again, this is going to be in the back. David's going to put it in a special section. We do want to... All right, so good. So guys, do me one favor, okay? Because what I want you to do is, if you found a lot of value in this training right now, what Mark showed you, do me a favor, when you're in the Facebook group, like Project Assimilation or the OMG Facebook group, just put a comment in there and tag Mark, and kind of thanking him or kind of say what you liked about it. That way people know kind of what we're doing here, so they can hop on the next ones. But other than that, I think we're kind of done with the questions. We're at almost about 2 hours. So, Mark, I want to thank you for coming on. That was great. And yes, radical. It was, not so. It wasn't a radical, really, but it was when you think about what you had to go through with that director's cut. This is going to make your life a lot more easier. So, Mark, you got any last words?
I'll hang around on the Facebook group if your questions aren't answered. I'll kind of hang around. If you want to post those questions, I'll have a little web design chat on Facebook going for the next half an hour or so.
Ah, there you go. All right, fantastic, great. So again, let's give Mark a big thank you, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.